All right, so let's go ahead and do group therapy. A chance to catch up with our characters, and it's always a little interesting at the beginning of a new episode because we've got, just brand new horizons. We've got a lot of baggage from the previous episode that we got to sort through, you know. So, and we kind of like talk about a little bit of downtime, So Drew informed us that we're going to be skipping forward a couple of days. So, what exactly did our characters do in that past couple of days? I'll tell you what Egner did. Not a whole lot. Egner's just been taking it easy, breezy, lemon squeezy. He's been roaming around Bronzewood Grove, trying to check up on all these other random things and see, like, in what state of disrepair is the rest of the grounds. Ellie and Finnegan actually did him a huge solid by fixing up his actual house structure type thing, and that was much appreciated. But he's got to check everything else out, and dude does what he can to fix the place up, but at the same time, he is just max relaxing. He's getting back up on the whiskey still, trying to get like a new round of that going, so he can get restocked up on that. But in general, he's just enjoying the company of his compatriots, and maybe being a little more friendly to Ellie than he has been in the past. It's a subtle thing, subtle, not like coming on too strong or whatever, but definitely being quite friendly to Ellie as of late. And other than that, yeah, I mean, everyone else just has to deal with Agner being like slightly grouchy and in this weird domestic state where he's just drinking coffee and grumbling and walking around and trying to fix up his home, essentially. But yeah, he's just chilling. That's what's up with Agner.
I'll follow that if that's okay, since I feel like it kind of makes sense for me to go after
Yeah.
that. So I mean, I think Ellie has pretty much been almost following Agner around. So like, if he's going around, checking what needs to be fixed, she's been following after him and like casting the mending spell on things and trying to like help where she can and fix things up. She hasn't really purposely brought up what happened at the end of last episode, because there was a little bit where they got a little bit closer. There was the whole like Agner putting his arm around her, in that whole moment. She's not really brought that up since, because it's now the whole like, well, I have no idea what he's thinking. Like, is it just a friendly arm around the shoulders, or like so? But yeah, that's pretty much it. She had a pretty chilled out day. Like everyone else was having a horrible time in a dungeon. She was like pretty chilled out. So
Oh yeah, no, she
not in a
was
bad place.
she was maxing relaxing by
Exactly.
comparison.
That's about it.
Uh,
That's never gonna
are you
happen.
trying to send a message there, Asa? You're trying to send a message.
Eridu was in some kind of animal form, so he just like he was an owl. He just typed out some Morse code real quick, something like that. With that natural theft of the spotlight, Eridu is feeling safer around Leah, but overall, as far as therapy goes, someone whose emotional connection to the world around him is severed a little bit tends to have to deal with less therapy issues because, the feels aren't there as much. That's where I'm at.
Oh yeah, Eridu lost his whole
That's
connection to
bad.
the Feywild, dude.
Yeah.
Is a big deal.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's a
Leading
big
into
deal.
that, it was really important. One of Eridu's key motivations was trying to rediscover his connection to the Feywild, which he felt came from a space of sort of losing connection with his emotions. And he has discovered that in order to be able to be around Leah without being overly influenced by her, he needs to adapt that level of disconnection from emotions again. And to do that, he gave up a gift given to him by On. that's the crux of it, really. There's a lot of things that happened that were eye-opening and terrifying, but that's probably the biggest thing that he's spending his time focusing on. Um, in the few days that he has gone to honing his monk talents, his wisdom has grown quite a bit. Uh, I now have a stat that is 18. Up until now, everything has been below that. Um, and yeah, he's learned a new trick. I'm really excited for everyone to see it.
A new
Let's,
monk trick?
let's just say he's been thinking about Theala a bit lately.
Oh my.
Who?
Oh, it's funny, but it's sad.
Yeah,
Oh, it's sad, actually.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So what's been going on with Leah?
Yeah. Um, it's a good thing Leah doesn't actually. Maybe it's a bad thing that Leah. I don't know. The point is, Leah doesn't know that Eridu is doing this and why he's doing it. She doesn't realize that he feels that he has to cut off all his own emotions in order to even be around her. She would be absolutely destroyed by guilt and probably would leave if she knew that. But also, she is, as always, a woman at war with herself. She's still reeling from the thing with Shar, and she has this, was it like a shard of black glass kind of thing that the goddess gave her, that she's positive that she does not want to take the goddess up on her offer, because that way lies cultifying. But she's also just, I would like, that kind of represents for her this choice that she made and this choice that she needs to make, that are all probably terrible choices. But the other thing that she's thinking about a lot is what happened with Eridu down there, and the fact that he asked her to stop him if he ever started turning into their father, and like what that would entail, and what she thinks she can do. And she's also been thinking a lot about the nightmare that she had, that the snake gave her, of turning all of her newfound friends and companions into cult members, and how horrifying that would be. So she's mostly been avoiding people, or at least that first night, after everyone got together and started drinking whiskey, she excused herself because she knew that she was going to just kill the vibe of the room a lot. But then the next day or so after that, after she had a chance to, get her control back, at least in the mornings, she would definitely want to seek Eridu out first and have a conversation about what happened, with Shar and with their bond and with what he asked her to do. So I was hoping that we could do that conversation a little bit.
I'm down.
Okay.
For sure. Can I interject really quick? Drew, did you have an idea for like what would be happening with Halifax? Like, is Halifax just kind of hanging with us for the moment, or?
Oh yeah, the conversation should happen after Halifax does a thing.
You are
You need
muted,
to.
sir.
That is a very good point. Well, point well made. So Halifax was mute the entire time. Halifax knows that something's missing. He knows that the room required a sacrifice, and that he's given something. But every time he tries to think about it, whether through the magic that took the thing or just shock, he can't quite focus on what it was. He remembers the name Theala, but he has no emotions connected to it anymore. Because of this, as far as Halifax is concerned, despite the disquieting nature of that disconnect, he's behaving normally. slightly different from his recent behaviors. He's a little more withdrawn. He wasn't. His current state is not as drawn out as he was when he was more open about his feelings because of Thiala. He hadn't opened himself up to the possibility of having a relationship with someone else. And so with that removed from him, he's back to being a little more reserved, very matter of fact with a lot of his interactions. So he's been spending the time recently trying to figure out what everyone else needs. He's defaulting back to his almost caregiver role, making sure that people are in good spirits, entertained, they have the things that they need. He's not the host of this particular crib, but he's still doing what he can to help Aigner out. He's also aware that during the dungeon crawl, he relied a lot more on his friends, but he didn't support Aigner properly. He didn't describe to Aigner what was going on, and that left the entire team at a disadvantage. So he has been working on that, trying to be a bit more sensitive to the fact that Aigner is without his sight, and that is a big deal. So that's what Halifax has been at the moment. But apart from that, he's had no special connections or conversations with anyone else in the group. He doesn't seem open to anything at the moment. So yeah, sorry, Eridu, that love tryst it's not going to work.
It's all good because I actually was not listening.
Excellent.
Wow.
It's what we like to hear.
Wow.
Yep.
He's busy
I mean-
leveling up, guys.
Does your character's little group therapy have anything to do with me? No. When you go to the therapist's office, you just want to talk. They don't need to listen. Why do you think they have the little paper to write on? They're just doodling something for their kids.
I think you need to have a word with your therapist about the kind of service you're getting.
Probably should. Hey man, why do you keep drawing pictures? This is not an accurate representation of my emotional state right now.
This is $10 an hour therapy, man.
Right. Oh, I actually get my therapy for free, so.
Well, there you go.
And I'm talking to the guy who's like sitting outside the Safeway.
All right,
It's not
so
actually.
let's get this train back on the rails. So our characters have been just chilling in Bronzewood Grove for a while, and it seems like Leah is really itching to have a conversation that needs to be had.
So
Yeah, she'll wait until after she's had another. Oh, go on.
Oh, word.
the day after the big meal, there'll be a storm that will force everyone inside. But since Bronzewood Grove has had some upgrades with there's multiple buildings now, so we'll say Leah and Eridu, at the time that the storm hits, and it hits suddenly, the two of you are in one building. Aigner and Ellie are in another building.
Oh, yeah.
And Halifax is in a building all on his own.
Aw.
So we'll zoom in on Leah and Eridu first, but I might switch between
Okay,
the two
Okay.
groups.
that's a good idea. Oh, heck, got to get back into Leah's zone. Okay.
Oh, man. I'm gonna cry, guys. I'm already gonna say this. Like, I'm gonna cry.
That's okay.
I feel it.
This is a
I
safe
cried
space.
3 times last session.
Yeah, it's all
That's
right.
true.
Can't stop it. So yeah, so I guess now that we're stuck here for a minute, I need to talk to you, Eridu.
Eridu is almost in a trance. It seems like he's deeply in thought. Can, for the sake of this conversation, we be sitting in front of a fire?
Sure.
Cool.
Are we in a digloo?
Yeah, we're in a dig little fire. So it's almost like the flames that he's staring intently at seem to be swaying and moving purposefully. And then as you speak to him, he kind of comes to, and the flames go back to just being a natural fire movement. Um, and he looks at you, uh, very in a very bland way, as though he's kind of looking right past you. And, of course, what do we need to speak of?
We need to have a conversation about what happened in the temple below Finnegan's lab with Shar and with what you said to me when we received our blessing. Because I don't I took you at face value. I agreed to what you said, but I don't understand. I still don't understand why you think you could ever become like Agrian. I mean, when we were younger, when you were still under Agrian's influence, I was terribly worried that you were going to become him, but you didn't. You overcame that. What makes you think that you wouldn't do the same again?
Eridu smiles, but nothing in it carries over to his eyes. And he puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Well, that thing, the Dahaka, it made me live in a future. One that I hope to never see, but one in which I made the choice to not only turn my back on all of my friends and on you, but to sacrifice you for some purpose. I don't know what would lead me to make that choice, but I believe it is within me to rationalize a situation in which all of your deaths would be better than, I don't know, let's say the death of an entire nation.
I would like to think that you would be willing to make that kind of sacrifice if it meant saving thousands of people, but I don't see how you would ever become Agrian by doing that.
You know the cruelty of our father. What you never got to see was his pragmatism. He saw injustices all around our society, and his vision, though is skewed and possibly a little bit insane, fought to rectify those injustices.
At this point, I will point out that the storm is starting to hit the buildings quite hard, to the point where you are starting to hear like some creaking in some of the wooden support beams in these digloos, and the dirt you can hear above ground is starting to get pulled away, in such a way that you're able to hear the storm a bit more strongly. We're also going to cut away briefly from Eridu and Leodin just now to Aigner and Ellie in their digloo.
No,
Sorry.
they're not in a Digloo. They're in Egner's fucking house structure.
All right.
Egner doesn't need to go into a Digloo. Are you kidding me? This is his house, dude. This is y'all in my house.
Whose house?
Egner's house.
Steve,
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah. If I keep going, we might get sued.
Well, forget about it. We'll just get demonetized. That's all. So yeah, we're definitely chilling in Egner's house, and there's definitely a fire. Egner is currently tending to his whiskey still, trying to just feel around and like make sure all the parts are going. He's like checking this thing, making sure this is dripping the way it's supposed to. He's got this thing, like making sure the fire is like getting all up in this thing, and he's just kind of grumbling to himself. For the moment, he may have like forgotten that Ellie's like in the room because he's just so focused on trying to do what he's trying to do.
The door will blow open in the wind and rain, and lessen the flames of the fire until they're just a very low set of embers, meaning it's very cold in the house now.
God damn it! No, no. Why?
I'll run to the door and slam it shut, and then say, Agnes, perhaps we should try go underground or something. It's getting bad out there.
Ellie, I've been through much worse storms out here. Much
Have
worse. Yeah. Oh yeah.
'Cause
Absolutely.
can I like peek out of the door like a crack and see what's like going on outside?
Outside, you see Ein stood outside the building, looking around. But yeah, it looks just like a really, really bad storm. Give me a nature skill check if you want to try and discern some more info.
1 second. Spells. It's taking forever. Okay. 17.
This is a bad storm. This is the kind of thing that's going to last all night. This storm would have struck, like it's around lunchtime. This is going to last until the early hours of the next morning. But it does seem entirely natural.
Okay.
But yeah, high winds, heavy rain.
Do I think that the house can withstand it?
At its current strength, yes, the house can withstand it, but not without small amounts of damage. You're probably going to get a few planks go missing, maybe a broken window or two. But the structural foundation of the house can withstand it.
Can I call Ein in?
Can he fit through the door?
He's been in the house before. He's medium sized technically.
Technically.
Okay.
He'll just have to do a little
He's
squeezing.
like biggest medium size.
Didn't he go through a hole in the side of the house last time?
Yeah, but he's been in houses before. He has house socks.
He has socks. I forgot about the
The
socks.
house bear.
All right, then Ein can be brought in. Yes.
Okay. I'll call him in and I'll like push something up against the door to try and stop it like flying off and again in the wind. And as I'm like putting the socks on Ein and like toweling him down, say to Agner, well, okay, I mean, I think the house can withstand it for now, but if it gets worse,
We're gonna be fine, Ellie. Don't worry. Don't worry. And you and Finnegan fixed up the place. It's gonna be. I'm sure it's as good as new, if not better. And I have things to tend to here.
I just not that I don't need the praise or anything, but like ever since you got back, you kept on putting some oh God. You've been accounting some of the fixing to Finnegan, but Finnegan really didn't do that much.
Well, I mean, when you say it like that, it makes sense. Finnegan, from what I can tell, is kind of a lazeabout. You know, I mean, the fact that he just stayed here and put us through all of that kind of hell, while he drank all of my whiskey except for the little bit that you graciously saved. Thank you. The fact that he could just do that. Yeah, I just don't understand some people sometimes, you know? I think it's just power. When power gets to people's heads, they just transform into something completely different.
Maybe. Absent-mindedly putting the socks on still.
Sorry. The start talking and I'm muted. The window upstairs. No, there is no upstairs. The window in this room smashes in. A branch from a tree gets carried on the wind, smashes through, and you get wind and rain rushing in. More of the fire is put out. A few bottles are knocked over, including some of the whiskey. And we're going to zoom out and zoom back in on Eridu and Leodan in the Digloo.
Okay. So, there's a lot of messages. To recap,
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed Eridu's response entirely because my internet was stupid.
So Eridu had said, you only saw our father's cruelty. You didn't see his pragmatism. He witnessed many oppressions in Drow society, and much of what he thought to do, though perhaps insane, were meant to combat those oppressions.
So you think that you will make poor judgments in an effort to counteract oppression?
I think I have picked a side in this war enough to be easily manipulated. Not by Agrian. Don't get me wrong, I won't make the choice that Future showed. But I could make others that I am blind to the far-reaching effects of, based on my position, my perspective.
I run the same risk, and in fact may have already done that. I think in this case, the fact that you've surrounded yourself with companions who have different perspectives, but all seem to have good hearts, is something that will help you. And I don't know if my presence will be a help either, but if you want me to continue to stay around, I need you to help me as well.
How?
Hang on a sec. Eric, can you get the cats elsewhere? You're attempting to kill each other right here.
Oh my goodness. Maria, Sophie, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah. Okay.
Kitten, cat, that's what I say. I don't
Sorry.
do cats'
They-
names.
They like to interrupt all of the important moments.
Of course, they're cats.
Yeah. Was Eridu going to say something?
Oh, yeah, what? You're just going to ask what?
Oh. I need you to be able to stop me if I go too far. There's something that I didn't tell you. I know I keep saying that I've told you everything, but I haven't. I, at least twice now, have accidentally started a cult.
At that moment, the ceiling breaks in. Water deluges down into the Digloo.
Ah, yikes.
No,
Oh God!
they're all going to laugh at you.
Yeah. What is Leah feeling right now?
Well, she was kind of calm. She's a little less calm now. She's now very frustrated that she's been interrupted, a little afraid. And then the general kind of worry that accompanies talking about what a terrible person she is, that sort of guilt.
And then, of course, wet. That's a feeling, right?
Yeah.
I feel wet and cold.
Irritated. Very irritated.
So, Eridu, Leah, what are we doing?
Uh,
Well, Eridu kind of gives Leah a little bit of a look when she brings up the cult thing, and then almost shudders, and then says, I can see how that might happen. People have always been drawn to you. You have an influence over them. I have made a choice for your comfort that hopefully will reduce the influence that you have over me. That will put me in a unique position to do what I must if your influence would put people at greater risk than is necessary.
I presume we're like on the same side of this now collapsed Digloo.
So it's basically a hole in the middle of the roof has collapsed in, so you can still reach most of the Digloo, but there's now this torrent of rain coming in, which has already resulted in a couple of inches
We
of
should
water.
perhaps find somewhere else to rest for the night.
This doesn't seem safe to be in anymore.
Yes. Or comfortable.
But going out there doesn't seem very safe either.
Well, I think if we're fast, we can find a safe location pretty quickly.
Okay. When we do, I need to ask you more questions about what you just said.
Of course.
Okay,
So are they going to try and... Oh, go on.
leaving the Digloo to find different shelter, or
Yep. That's my
Yep,
plan.
okay.
Seems counterproductive, but what you gonna do?
I mean, the hole itself, you've still got all the mud like inside the Digloo, and you've got some furniture. So you've got the option of escaping the Digloo, staying and sleeping in a swimming pool, or repairing the hole if you can.
Oh, I guess repairing the hole would make sense too, huh?
Leah doesn't have very good repairing skills, which is why her previous castle had just kind of fallen into decay over 100 years. So
Yeah. I mean, can't say much for Eridu's repair skills either. He's good at breaking stuff. Does that help?
no.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it was worth the shot, right?
So leaving to find other shelter.
Probably within
I
our
think
best.
so. Because we're
All right.
useless.
Escaping the Digloo, the wind is howling so hard that it's actually pushing against the two of you. You're struggling to move at all. The rain is lashing at you, almost whipping across your skin. It is painful to move through this storm. But you are able to reach other Digloos. You also see further up a hill, you see Igna's house.
Uh,
Other Digloos are closer.
But they might run a risk of caving in the same way the other did with enough rain.
yeah, these were made with monks or not monks, but druids doing like druidy magic to build these little hovels. They're not really well structured. I know that because I was there when they were made. I'll say over the howling winds, we should make for Agner's house. It's probably more stable.
Little do you
All right.
know.
All right.
So
I know
moving
very
back,
little.
we'll move back over to Igna and Ellie in the 10 minutes before Eridu and Leah come through the door. The window has just been smashed in and bottles scattered everywhere.
Can I start fixing the window?
Yeah.
Mending. Broken glass.
So you're casting mending to do that.
Yeah.
It's a cantrip now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, you're there shoring everything up, fixing things. What's Igna doing?
Cursing
As he-
loudly, cursing loudly, and he's trying to go back to the fire and then coax the fire back to life. He's like just blindly shifting around the logs and blowing on it, getting like a face and possibly a mouthful of ash, and just cursing loudly. And then with a loud grumble, he says over his shoulder to Ellie, "We need to find Halifax. Halifax. He needs to use his magic to do something about this."
Okay. Do you want to go outside? Because
I mean, can you send Ein? Is that possible?
do I know what Halifax is?
You'll know that since he was outside when the storm hit, he'll have just run to one of the digloos, most likely. But exactly where he is, no. I mean, you can send Ein out, and within half an hour have Halifax at the house.
Ugh, don't really want to do that. Let me have a look at my spells. I didn't take. Oh, you probably won't be able to see it in Storm anyway. I didn't take Skywrite. Good for it. Sky. Or message. I'll just turn to Aina. I don't know if sending Aina out is going to be the best idea. I don't even know what direction to send him in, and I'm worried about him getting damaged.
Okay. All right. And then Agner just calms down a little bit and he says, "All right, fine. We'll find a way to weather the storm here. Well,
Could Aigner and Ellie give me Constitution saving throws, please?
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Oh dear.
Oh, I did all right. By the way, I got to show off my my fancy new dice. I got the Rick and Morty D&D adventure, and it comes with these dice that are very bright and yeah, kind of Rick-tastic is the way I describe them. Very Rick-tastic
cool.
dice. So,
oh man, I almost wore my Rick and Morty shirt today and I forgot.
You forgot. You forgot. So, anyways, I got a total of 17.
I got 9.
With the wind and the rain, the dying down of the fire, it is getting awfully cold.
How is it?
It is very, very.
Hey, Agner, do you know what's good for keeping warm? It's survival 101.
Duh. Obviously.
I mean, you do like taking your clothes off. So.
Well.
Not
That's
cool.
for them to come back to.
Not cool.
Oh god.
Leah, Eridu, you get to the front door. I would like both of you to make perception checks with disadvantage before you go through the door.
Should we knock?
You can just hear Ellie shouting, Agner, just take them off!
If they're wet, they're only gonna make you colder.
Duh. Duh.
14.
What does Leah get?
22.
Oh dang. With disadvantage? That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I rolled a 14 and a nat 20.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's
Them
really cool.
rolls.
So, Leah,
There it is.
you see just as you're getting to the house, a figure in the distance. It's difficult to make out, but it's definitely a person walking through the storm. They're
Just like,
not casually, like they look like they've got a cloak and they've wrapped it around themselves, and that they're walking like through this storm, making a huge effort to do so. But they look like they're heading towards Bronzewood Grove. But they also look like they're a fair distance away, maybe a mile. So it'll take them some time to get to you.
I will, before we go in, I will grab Eridu and try and point out this person. I think there's someone coming to the grove for some reason in this weather.
Do I see this person, or is it still hard for me to make out?
Now that it's pointed out by Leah, you will see a dark shape. Could be a
Okay.
person.
And I was really hoping to have a no, because I was going to turn to her and say, nonsense. I was going to actually say nonsense, poopy pants, but that doesn't feel appropriate for my character.
Real
To
mature.
Eridu, it is a dark blob in wind and rain, so
I
it could
just
very
needed
well
it.
not be a person.
I just needed a moment to quote Ace Ventura, that's all.
Nonsense,
all right.
poopy pants. Wow.
Finnegan?
I'll say, go inside. I'm going to go see if I can help them.
Uh, if you're going to help them, I should come help them too, right?
I'm going to hold up one of my arms, to which the tattoos of waves are like, spiraling down it, and say, I think I can do this alone. The elements are, after all, my speciality.
All right. Leah doesn't actually. This the elements thing is new for Leah. She's never seen him. I think she's seen him use them, but she didn't know about them before. But
Yeah, it wasn't part of his thing.
Previous life. But yeah. Okay. If you
Does Leah want to leave Eridu to do this, or would shouting your conversation through a storm while you've got like a good 15-minute journey to this person? It's totally up to you guys. We're not going to force anything, but it's an option.
Right. If that's 15, if that's going to be another, if it's like 15 minutes away. No, I think she'll trust him. I think she'll say, oh, okay. She knows that she's not really equipped to be out in the storm very well. And Eridu seems confident about his abilities. So, she'll believe him.
All right. So Eridu will go off into the storm. Leah will go into the house.
Mm-hmm.
What does Leah see when she walks in through the house?
What does she see?
What does she see? Well,
I think realistically that Ellie wouldn't have said that. She would be like holding on to herself and shivering, like you can hear it in her voice, and she'd be like, "Agner, it's so cold."
For sure. Well, at this point, Agner would have stopped thinking about his trying to save the fire and trying to save the whole whiskey still setup, and he would finally stubbornly give that up, or stop being so stubborn and give up that whole thing. And then he would be rummaging around under where his bed is. He's got a whole bunch of blankets and furs and the like, and he would have just grabbed a great big old bear fur, bear skin with all the fur and everything. And when Leah comes,
man, that's really insensitive.
Yeah, I know.
On at least 2 levels.
Look, Agner's had this for a really long time. It predates a lot of bear shifting abilities that his friend may have acquired. But anyway, so when Leah comes in, he has just taken this fur and gone over to Ellie and just wrapped it all around her, and simultaneously wrapped Ellie in this hug, trying to warm her up.
Aww. Leah will smile. Is that nice?
Ellie will blush from her fur Agner burrito.
And then Agner will grouchily say, "Close the door."
Right. It's very cold in here.
Yeah, I was trying to do something about that, but I have a hard time starting fires sometimes. Maybe someone else can help with that, but if we can get that fire going, that would be actually pretty great.
Yeah, I'll come over and try to help.
You know who's great at starting fires? Is Theala.
Who?
You just hear it shouted from one of the Digloots.
Yeah.
Who?
Leah, make me a survival check with advantage, because you've got all the efforts that Aigner's already made in trying to improve the fire situation.
Okay. That's an 18.
After a few minutes, you manage to get the start of a fire. While some of the logs are wet, you've managed to shift those to the bottom. They'll dry out as the rest of them start burning away. So it'll take another few minutes, but the house is going to start warming up. You've successfully made a fire. Eridu, could you give me 3 Constitution saving throws?
Brutal.
Yeah, but I should probably get rid of one of these dice.
It's no good.
All right.
Just one for each 5 minutes that you're walking towards this person.
Well, the first one is a 19. The
Excellent.
second one is a 4. And the third one is also a 4. I should probably get rid of 2 of these dice.
Wow, dude. Bummer.
It's alright. I'll survive. I'm
this-
also really fast. I don't know if that matters at all.
Well, you are quite fast, aren't you?
He is.
So
quite
we'll say that it
fast.
was just 2 then.
Okay, 19 and 4.
So yeah, 19 and 4. You do feel the exhaustion of the cold and the wet pressing upon you. So you now have 1 level of exhaustion. You would also take some cold damage, but I'm not anticipating us jumping into combat. But take 6 cold damage, but you're probably going to heal it before anything happens. But you get to this person. They've still got the hood all the way down, but you can tell that it's a woman, and she says to you, what are you doing out in the cold? Find shelter.
What are you doing out in the cold?
Finding
Find
shelter.
shelter.
Well, then it just so happens that I know where shelter is at. Come with me.
Fine. And she follows after you. Give return journey. Give me 1 more Constitution saving throw. I'll make 1 for her too.
15.
That is just enough.
Here. Come on, the buttons. Do your job. Trying to log out of Twitch on one of these things so I can do a thing. There we go.
Leah, in the house, you are reasonably warm. Ellie, Aigner, you are very comfortably warm. Eridu, you've managed to reach the door with this stranger.
Should we knock? No, I'll,
You know your sister better than that, Eridu.
maybe. It's been 150 years.
People change.
Alright,
Alright.
so, yeah, we push him to the room.
You'll find Egner still very concerned with keeping Ellie warm, but then as soon as the door opens again and Egner may get a waft of some Eridu perfume, he'll suddenly stiffen up and awkwardly take his arms, like, leaving the bare fur right there, but he'll stiffen up and take his arms off of Ellie and then walk toward the door and say, "Close the door, quickly!"
And without saying a word, I do. And then kind of give Egner an awkward look. Not really awkward, but more unsure. There's Ellie.
Eridu, so who is this?
Oh, yes. Who are you?
She lowers her hood. It is Emily, but she has a completely deadened eye with a scar running down her face. She also has what looks like burn marks along the opposite cheek, as if she's been burned by fire or acid. She also has tattoos starting from her neck, going down, but she's covered in cloak.
What is going on?
Oh.
Whoa!
Oh, it's Ellie. Or it's
Emily.
Emily. Not Ellie. That would be awkward.
Egner will say with an incredulous tone in his voice, "Emily, how did you
When?
how did you escape?"
Escape from what?
Uh,
Where is Emily?
huh?
You know Emily.
Huh.
Yes. And then
Mm.
Egner sits back on it. He sits on his bed really quick and starts scratching his head.
Can I cast detect magic, please?
Yes.
Can I just, insight, please?
Yeah, go ahead. So, detect magic. She seems to be a caster. You see a few magical items hidden under her cloak. You're seeing the waves of magical energy. One of them is definitely a spell book. You're getting radiation of all the different schools of magic from it. But yeah, there's no spell cast on her.
And Emily wasn't a spellcaster, was she?
No.
And considering I rolled a 21, I'm just going to go ahead and act on that, unless you tell me not to.
Yep, go ahead.
Uh, I'll look at her more thoroughly, kind of taking in her appearance and everything, and go, "You are not Emily.
No.
You appear to be of relation to her, though. A twin sister, perhaps?"
Yes, Emily's my sister.
She never spoke of you before. Thus all the confusion. We are Eridu, Agner, Ellie, Leah. Um, Many of us are friends of Emily's, and she has been captured and is held in the harbors, the last that we understood.
That explains it. My name is Marjorie. Emily and I are sisters. Emily has been in constant contact with me, sending me letters regularly. We had an agreement that if either of us were to stop contacting the other, that we were to travel to the last known location and find them. The last she told me, she was in some settlement outside of Twin Harbors. I assumed it was this.
Well, you're not wrong about that. Emily was here. And then she got captured by the goons from the ISCB.
Is she dead?
I sure as hell hope not.
And you are Aigner.
That's me. This is my home.
She has written about you. Why have you...
I see those beady eyes, Carrie. I'm sorry.
That's what Ellie's doing from her furs.
Yeah, for
You can see
sure.
the facial eyes narrowing.
I'm sorry. Continue, Marjorie.
She's written about Aigner, Eridu. She also wrote about Theala. I noticed that she is not here.
Theala?
Yes.
Theala's dead.
Oh.
At this point, just really quickly, is going to make an aside to Eridu and be like, Theala, this isn't the same Theala that you knew, is it?
Eridu just, yes. Not very quietly, but not very loudly either. Yes, the same one.
And then she'll be very quiet in the corner for a while.
Well, I suppose we should wait till the storm passes and make haste. If she's been taken towards Twin Harbors, that's where we must go.
Yes. I mean, believe me, we've talked about this quite a bit before. Saying it and doing it are going to be two different things. As far as the mission itself to try and rescue Emily, we're at an extreme tactical disadvantage.
Of course you were. I'm here now.
Agner gives this like weird look, like, So what assets do you bring to the table then?
In good time. I have been traveling for more than 2 days. On foot. I am tired. Let me rest by your fire. We'll wait till the storm abates. We shall discuss things then.
Of course. That's just fine.
She goes, she sits down, she pulls her hood up, and she ignores the rest of you.
Can I try saying to her?
Mhm.
In those letters mention, like a great inventor, someone who builds really really cool stuff. Yeah, just like the Eridu and the Owler. No one else.
She's mentioned that there are some skillful people in her employ, an inventor and some odd man who tells stories. A wizard, perhaps?
Not by name though.
I don't have his name. I've been told the inventor was Eileen? Eileen.
Sighs really heavily and turns away and walks over to Aina. And says, "This woman is useless."
You say that about all the women, Ellie.
Well, they're all useless. No offense, Liam. You're not useless.
None taken. Should we get Halifax? Should we try and find him?
I think that would be a good idea.
For the sake of narrative flow, I say.
If I shot rest, I think I can change. Oh, I don't know if they took that away from me. Oh, they might have taken that away from me.
It's hard to say.
Never mind. I used to be able to change my cantrips on shot rest, but I don't think I can now.
If Halifax not being here is going to cause issues, the door opens and Halifax wanders in.
Halifax, my friend, I was so worried.
He then slams the door shut behind him, stares at Agna for a moment, and then just says, "Greetings."
Did you
And he shall shuffle towards the fire and stand in front of it, and just not even acknowledge that there's another hooded person here.
I gotta take a clip of that. That was just like the funniest Halifax line. Oh my gosh.
Did your Diglu collapse too?
Two of them.
Oh no.
Poor guy.
Yes. Well. And I'm gonna sidle over to Ellie and say, so listen, we've definitely seen our struggles in the past and some pretty difficult betrayals. Are we sure that this person is who she claims to be?
I mean, she doesn't have a spell cast on her. I presume we're saying this far away from her.
It's our intention.
Yeah. I noticed a spellbook and some magic items on her, so she is a caster. She looks like she's seen some trouble with the whole, and she likes to things. But I mean, can you just trust a stranger that turns up in the middle of the night, in the middle of a storm?
Sometimes I'm not even sure if I can trust a longtime friend.
Well, no, I know
I've
you.
been with for
You led
a
us
longer
to.
time.
You led us to like a trap. So I know.
Then he'll give her a very cold look and say, "Yes, it appears that sometimes I cannot even trust myself." Is it possible that she has connections with the ISCB? Because I do know that Agner would have some concerns. Anything stand out to you?
Egner
Yes,
overhears this.
I think
Well, yeah.
Agner could overhear like the mice living in his attic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he'll come up very quickly with an accusing finger pointed up, and he'll say with gritted teeth, but trying to like say it all hushed, and he'll say, "The ISCB can easily have their claws attached anywhere, anytime. It, you, you,
Ellie reaches out a hand
whatever.
out of her furs and puts like sort of taps Igor on the shoulder. Says, "Look, we don't know for sure. Is there anything like did we see anything like what would there even be to? Yeah, I mean, we could try and go through her stuff when she's asleep. What, is
Some
she
of them
human?
had like emblems, and some of them had parchment papers, very Doctor Whoian papers that tell you what you need
Well,
to do.
Do we want to go subtle or do we want to go like because I
look,
could go over there and be loud and ask some questions.
I can get her to tell the truth. I've done it before with other people.
What's your plan?
I have the ability, and granted, this is Aigner trying to explain a spell that he has access to, but he doesn't really have the vocabulary to say I can cast a spell. He wouldn't.
It's called
really
"Tell
say
the
that.
Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth."
Well, it's something like that. I have the ability to compel people to tell the truth.
It's like I can make a zone that forces them to speak the
It's
truth.
almost like that. Except
get
I
what I'm
wouldn't-
saying?
Except I wouldn't call it that.
Like a truth zone. I think that's what I'm gonna name this spell.
Well, I mean, she is a trespasser on your property. Now, if you want to treat her like that, you go for it.
When you say it like that, it sounds like it being inhospitable or something.
I mean, could you cast it without her noticing? Or is it a very obvious spell?
I mean, you said that she's a magic user. She'd
Yeah.
probably be able to tell quite
Could you
easily.
do it when she falls asleep, and then do it around when she falls asleep, and then I'll shake her awake, and be like, answer some questions.
Yeah, I suppose that could work. I'm open to anything, but I don't
could
know.
just ask her if she doesn't mind.
Yeah, I don't think she has much of a choice but to answer our questions.
You all ask questions. I have weathered the storm to bring her to us. I'm feeling very exhausted. I'm going to go and see if I can reduce my exhaustion levels.
Mm-hmm.
Erida's gonna go sleep
You should do
or
that.
meditate.
Well, should we? Do you want to ask, or do you want to try and be sneaky about it?
Look, maybe we should all just get a little bit of rest and then worry about this in the morning.
Okay. Okay. I never take spells I need. I mean, I don't think it's a specific thing that he can do, but can I set Iron up to be on watch almost? So if something tries to come at attack or hurt one of us, he'll either run at that, maybe attack the person or make a loud noise.
Yeah.
Totally reasonable, I think.
Yeah.
Totally cool.
Just stranger sleeping in our house while we all sleep.
Cool.
Aigner will go fetch, one of the little bit of whiskey that he has left over from that bottle that Ellie saved for him, and he'll get little shot glasses worth, and he'll walk over to the fire and kind of place himself in between Halifax, who's still shivering, and Marjorie, and he'll lean down a slight bit and try and say over in Marjorie's direction, "Look, maybe a little whiskey will help you out. It'll help you warm your bones, get you to sleep easier. Here you go."
As you look over, she is already fast asleep, sat in the chair.
Okay. I hear a little
Uh,
soft,
nope.
like snoring.
Yes, you hear snoring. You do not look over. Oh my god.
That's all right. Yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
a
It's fine.
that's a classic thing. Once Egner, he'll take a second, listen to the soft snoring. He'll hear that it's this kind of cycle. It's like a very uh, periodic, regular rhythm. And once he's satisfied that she is indeed asleep, he'll just shrug and be like, "All right." Drink it himself.
But is she indeed asleep? That's the real question.
Egner doesn't care. He's a little too cold and tired and whatever.
More whiskey
to
for
care
him.
anymore. Exactly. He's just like, more whiskey for me. Whatever. I'm gonna get to sleep easier. Shit.
Halifax shivering next to the fire, but a little warmer now. You brought out the bearskin, I see.
Yeah. I have another one actually. Halifax. I'm very rude for not offering that to you.
No, it's absolutely fine. Why would you offer that? You're shivering cold in your home.
At that, he'll awkwardly shuffle over to the other side of the room to his bed and try and find one. He finds that this is the one where, like, the moths have slightly gotten to it. Like, it's got a couple of holes, but it's still, like, mostly...
It's like the one
yeah.
you sniff and you're like, that doesn't smell quite right. But hopefully he doesn't notice.
Hopefully he doesn't notice. Hopefully he doesn't care. And he'll come over and he'll give Halifax that, and he won't do the same thing where he gives Halifax a big bear hug with the bear fur that he did to Ellie, but he'll put it on there and say, Halifax, I'm terribly sorry. I'm just being a bad host all over the place right now.
No, this is quite all right. I made a mistake by staying out there. It was awful.
I mean, none of us expected that big of a storm to come in, you know?
The elements can be very fickle. I couldn't help but notice that everyone seems to be preoccupied. What dangers are we facing?
I mean, immediate dangers, I would say just the possibility of a tree limb snapping off and, breaking my house in two. That's the only, like, immediate danger, but, we're, with this, and at this, he'll kind of lower his voice a little bit and say, we got this Marjorie here, who is, I guess, Emily's twin sister, and, it seems like we're gearing up to try and bust Emily out of whatever prison that she's in Twin Harbor.
Well, I suppose it's about past time. Next time, Agna, if I do not address someone in a room that is a stranger to me, best to assume that I've just had a lax in perception. And I genuinely thought that you just got a new coat rack.
And at that, he'll clap Halifax on the back good-naturedly and say, "Look, Halifax, I get it. Honestly, I do. If there's anyone who understands having a lax in perception, it's your good buddy, old pal, Agner."
He'll pat your hand and then sort of curl down in front of the fire, almost like he's trying to hog all of the heat, but he's not able to, like, block the entire fireplace. But yeah, he just cuddles up, goes to fall asleep there.
Sleep well, Halifax.
So is everyone resting now?
Yep.
I think that's the plan.
Ellie, could you, for Ein,
Okay.
give me a perception check?
I also want to say, I think that at this point, Ellie probably is just like she no longer sleeps like far away from him and then like slowly shifts her way up. She started just kind of like plopping herself down. More not like up next to him, but next
For
to him.
sure.
Ah, it's not good. Oh, I don't know what his stats are. Are all the
Leah's
six?
found a chair in the in.
It's not going to be good.
Right.
On a 6, so just go off that. I don't know what his perception stuff is.
Okay.
Uh,
So 6 was it?
yeah. What's perception?
Wisdom.
Okay, it's just flat then.
Okay.
So, 6.
So, he keeps an eye out, occasionally twisting his head to look around the room, but just stoically watching. Doesn't alert anyone to anything that's happening. The wind and rain penetrates into if your dreams, visions, and thoughts throughout the night. But other than that, the house holds. It's relatively peaceful.
We made it.
Morning
Never
dawns.
thought I would be so excited to sleep through a night in D&D.
Yeah.
Leah has, yeah. Oh, go on.
Nope. You.
Go for it. The connection seems a little bit unstable. There you are.
Wah, wah.
Can you hear us?
Apparently not.
Okay, so as usual, Egner will be the first awake, and by this point, like he's purposely not making a big deal about the fact that Ellie is just like sleeping next to him all the time. Like he's not trying to like blow it up into this big thing or like say anything that would be off-putting or whatever, you know. But and he's also kind of adjusted like. Where the first couple of times he would wake up and he would just immediately like throw his elbow around to like brace himself and get up, and then he would end up like smacking Ellie in the face or something. he's found a way to adjust, and this morning in particular, he turns over and then realizes Ellie's right there, and then just gives her a little respectful, polite pat on the shoulder, and then wiggles himself away out of the bed. And once again, he's in his skivvies, freezing his butt off, trying to get the little embers of the fire together so he can put his little coffee pot on. And he's trying to get that first cup of coffee going before anyone else really wakes up at all.
All right.
Go. Well, I've got a character moment unless you want to go ahead and narrate stuff.
No, we'll go for the character moment first.
All right. As Agner is assuming he's the only person awake, and is making the pot of coffee, Eridu, for those who would be able to see him, but there's no one around to do that, is sitting in his meditative pose, not too far away from the coffee making kitchen area, and he says, "You know, Agner, that there are much better ways to rule than a gentle pat on the shoulder."
He'll awkwardly stumble over his words for a second and then say, accusingly, "Who said I was trying to woo a woman, Eridu?"
You're quite right. It's fairly obvious that she is trying to woo you, and you are willfully ignorant of it.
I mean, come on, Eridu. I'm not dumb. Not completely. I'll fess up to being dumb in some kind of like regular sense, but I'm not a complete idiot. I can tell. I just don't know how to respond most of the time.
And this is where Eridu will open his eyes, and Agner will hear him as he moves, the chair creaking under him, and he walks closer and At this point, Agner can just kind of smell not only the lavender but also the scent of his actual sweat. And Agner or Eridu will put a hand on Agner's shoulder and say, very quietly in his ear, "Is it because of Ethel?"
Egner will pause, the words will catch in his throat, and he'll say, I mean, maybe a little bit, but you gotta understand it goes far beyond Ethel, you know? And it doesn't even have to do with women in my past in general. It just has to do with my past. You know? Does that make any kind of sense?
It makes absolute perfect sense. You have seen many terrible things. You have felt many terrible things, and you have done some terrible things.
Egner just kind of winces at that when he says he's done terrible things. He just winces and shakes it off.
This is where probably even Egner would probably try to pull himself away from Eridu's grasp, and Eridu will hold stronger and just kind of like pull him close and say, "You are not that person anymore, Egner. You deserve something good in your life. We don't know how much longer that will be. Take these moments when you can and enjoy them."
If you say so. I'm not gonna argue with you, even though I feel like I could until I was blue in the face. You know how goddamn stubborn I am.
Of course I do.
Is Ellie actually asleep?
I was gonna mention that earlier. I was gonna say I think it's up to Carrie whether or not
I do want
Ellie
to be
is
able to.
actually asleep.
Yeah.
I think she's actually asleep. I think it's better for her not to experience this. Like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
she's asleep.
Yeah.
Leah will get up and start to organize tea, and she will have this moment of panic on her face, and then try and relax while she's sorting out getting tea, as she realizes that she had not performed her ritual last night.
Ooh.
Halifax is snoring away, eyes just cracked open, staring at the fireplace.
I forgot that detail. Sleeps with his eyes open.
It's true that I personally actually have, and it has freaked out my wife on many occasions.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have no idea because I'm not awake to see my own eyes. But yeah, apparently I sleep with my eyes open.
Wow.
Which is weird.
That is
You
kind
do
of
sleep
weird.
or have slept with?
Like, all the time you do this?
Mm.
Okay.
But yes, at this point, Eridu and Aigner and Leah will notice that there is someone missing from the house.
Marjorie.
Marjorie is no longer in the house.
Wow. Okay.
Surprise! We didn't see that coming.
Now?
Yeah, you can wake up now.
Ellie wakes up, realizes she's the last one still asleep. Well, she's not asleep, but,
Yeah.
Gets up all happy and bright. And, good morning. Has the storm stopped now?
Yes, the storm has entirely stopped. It is a bright morning.
I will give almost like it's like she gives the weather forecast every morning for Aigner. She's like, as she's starting to like up and drawers and stuff. Sorry. I had like an unpicker in my hand and I just like scraped it across her tights. She's pulling open drawers and she's like, "It's a beautiful day, Aigner. The storm has cleared. The sun is out. The sky is clearing up."
That's great news, Ellie. And then at this point, he'll realize that he's like still just been drinking coffee in his skivvies, and he'll be like awkwardly putting his putting his leggings on at the very least, and just saying like, "Oh, that's great news, Ellie. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful day." Yeah. By the way, we need to find Marjorie.
You hear some movement outside. And you do see Marjorie sort of move past one of the windows, drop something, and then move back across.
Can I nosy at what she's doing?
It looks like she's digging and just moving the soil over to the front of the house. She's digging a hole at the side of the house.
She's digging. Might be our graves. Don't know.
I hope you are wrong about that, Ellie.
Should I go find out? I'm gonna go sit Dara up and just like.
Erdu will go with you.
Ellie's in an off mood today.
Yeah. Egner's still putting his clothes and armor on.
I'm just gonna open the door.
Mm-hmm.
Shout. Excuse me. What are you digging?
She keeps digging, am trying to protect my assets. And as she keeps pulling the dirt around, you see that her spell book is right next to her. She then looks at the hole. Enough. And then she places the book in the hole and starts to cover it up.
I could think of better ways to protect it than burying it.
Yes, but those easier ways to access it are easier for thieves to find. This will do. The wet ground will hide the fact that it's been recently dug.
Okay. That's gonna turn my head into a weird lady.
She'll stand, look towards Twin Harbour, stretch, and then sort of nod towards it as another gust of wind blows and waves her cape slightly. We're going to stop for our break there. Plans for the day. I know, I'm sorry, Alex.
Just in time for the break, Alex.
However, Leah did wake up, get her tea, and have this distant look on her face for a moment of panic. So, yeah. Join us back in about 10 to 15 minutes while we go and restock drinks.
Oh, yeah. We'll be right back. Don't worry, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you soon.